adventures with Cadence and Miss K. So much to learn along the way. Come on and explore with food court.
I'm Miss K.
And I'm Cadence.
And we're at We Arose Garden.
Hello everyone, my name is Campbell. We are here at We Arose Garden, and today I wanted to give you guys a brief overview of an introduction of myself and how we got started at We Arose Gardens. A couple of years ago, I was always interested in doing business, but I wanted to make sure that whatever business I got in impacted the community in a positive way, and I thought there was no better way to do that than to be involved in agriculture and local foods. So this vacant lot that we're standing in right now, or it was a vacant lot when I purchased it, is right in the neighborhood that I grew up in. We're a couple of blocks away from Cunningham School, which is where I went to elementary school at. So I grew up in this neighborhood, born and raised here in Waterloo, and one day I rode by and there was a for sale sign on this lot. And I was interested in starting a garden. I kind of grew up around growing with my grandmother, and I thought this would be a great opportunity for me to take that next step and to plant a garden. So if you look down at these beds, you'll see that we have mulch in between the walkways, and the mulch gives us another outlet, or another way for us to minimize using heavy machinery on the farm. That's one extra pathway that we don't have to worry about tilling or using some of the traditional methods to maintain a weed-free farm. And our beds are 30 inches wide, 50 feet long, and again our pathways are 14 inches wide. And it's kind of a deep mulch system that kind of allows us to preserve the soil. We are able to maintain, or maintain moisture, or retain moisture I should say, by the deep mulch system. So we really enjoy being able to have the mulch act as a weed suppressant and an opportunity for us to retain that moisture. The lot that we're in right now, it's a 1/4 acre, 12,000 square feet. We are standing here with a scuffle hoe. Some people call it a stirrup hoe, or collinear hoe is another name for it. We use this tool on the farm to do various things. One of the most important things we do with it is to terminate our crops. It's pretty much an essential tool for us to utilize our low-till, no-till methods. This scuffle hoe kind of serves the same use as tiller in some ways, but we really like to preserve the soil in our farm, so we try to do anything we can to not disturb the soil more than the top inch or two. This scuffle hoe can not only go in between certain rows, but also remove the previous crop when we're doing a bed flip and getting ready to plant another crop. Okay, so here's something fun that we use at We Arose. I would say fun, but also we have to really make sure we are being safe while utilizing this. This is a flame weeder. This is another essential strategy that we have at We Arose to maintain a weed-free farm. All of our weeding methods are really about being proactive and not letting the weeds establish. and getting them before they start competing with the crops in our bed. So after we do a bed flip or we turn over the bed and kind of terminate the previous crop, we always go in and flame weed, and we utilize this tank here, help me out, this propane tank, and we have this flamethrower that is attached to it, and we take like a flame starter, put it here, and it kills the weeds that you can't even see. So they may have germinated, but I believe I talked about when we were talking about the time reading rate that we try to kill weeds when they're in their thread stage. So we use this for when we plant crops that take a while to germinate and we feel like weeds could have a chance to establish themselves if we don't use this flame weeder. We usually attach this to a dolly, and we have another person who kind of goes through the walkways and has this dolly, this propane tank attached to the dolly, while another person is in the bed using the flame weeder to kill off the weeds. So when we turn on the propane tank, we only open the valve slightly, and then you also have to adjust the valve on the actual flamethrower and let the gas come through. And we are utilizing a lighter today. There we have it. So you adjust the valve to, you want a little power so it's able to actually kill the weeds. So you just saw the flame weeder in action. A lot of people have questions like, will it damage the soil in any way, or is it causes any harm to the soil at all? And the answer to that is no. It's really only getting that top surface. So whatever weeds, as long as you're not worried about the crops and the weeds that are currently in the bed, it will do its job and not cause any harm to the soil. Another thing to note is that it won't kill any grass or anything. So if you have like a huge weed problem, the flame weeder won't be effective. It's really about being proactive and killing the weeds that you can barely see. So right here, what we have, you're looking at a broad fork. And this broad fork at We Arose Garden is used for us to aerate the soil. This is another essential tool that we have to kind of avoid heavy machinery on the farm. This gives us an opportunity to aerate the soil without actually flipping it over and inverting the soil. So we're able to, it also helps us maintain a weed-free farm because we're not bringing new weed seeds up like the traditional methods with tillers. So this broad fork is something that we use each time we are getting ready to plant a new bed and prepare that for another crop. So we just introduced the broad fork. Here is another similar tool that we use at We Arose Garden, and this is called a pitchfork. It's pretty much used for the same exact thing. We utilize it before we plant a new bed when we're trying to give or aerate the soil. It's another tool that we use in place of a tiller in most traditional settings where they utilize a tiller to cultivate or turn the soil over before they plant a new crop. We just utilize this broad fork, or this pitchfork, I'm sorry, and it's a much lighter tool, so you can kind of get through the bed a lot quicker than what you would do if you had the broad fork. Here's another tool that we use at We Arose, and this is called an earthway seeder. And throughout all of the different methods and strategies and the different tools that I've introduced today, One thing that I should mention is that all of those tools, it's really about us maximizing our times in the field, figuring out strategies that will give us an opportunity to be as effective and as efficient as possible. And this seeder saves us a bunch of time planting our beds, opposed to the traditional routes of planting it by hand and some of those other traditional ways of planting. This earthway seeder, we pretty much just drop our seeds right here in this hopper. The seeder comes with a plate for different crops. Depending on the crop that you're planting, you'll want to change this plate out because it has different size holes for different seeds. And every time we drop seeds right into this hopper, this bottom piece right here is called a furrow. So that's what actually kind of goes through the soil and creates the row for you to be able to drop the seeds through. And just to make sure the seed is dropping out, we always just twist the front end, put our hand under here, and you'll see the seeds dropping. And that gives you kind of the go-ahead to move forward with your planting, and you know everything is working. This front part is a guide for you to kind of make sure you're maintaining a straight row. And we literally can plant a 50-foot bed in probably less than 2 minutes. Most of our crops are 5 to 7 rows in that 50-foot bed. So it's a great tool for us, something we utilize on the farm each week. And it's been a game changer for us to be able to save all of that time from planting it by hand and doing things in a more modern and efficient way. So one of the keys is to, when they're seeding here, to tilt it a certain way, and so you can just make sure the seed is falling. And you just simply go down the bed like this. The chain behind will cover up the seed as it drops. Okay, so I want to introduce another tool that we use here at We Arose. I want you guys to think about what you think of when you see this weird looking rake here, and what the use for this rake would be in a garden setting. So here at We Arose, we use this tine weeder. It's called a tine weeder, and this is another tool that we use to cultivate the soil, specifically for our baby greens and kind of baby root veggies. This tine weeding rake can go across the bed and kill the weeds at thread stage. So before they actually take root and start competing with the crops for sunlight, water, and different nutrients, you can utilize this to go over the bed blindly. So you can just basically take this rake, go all the way down your bed of crops, and kill those weeds and give the crop, an opportunity to grow at an expected rate, and not have to worry about the weeds taking over the bed.